As the only nation to have featured in every single World Cup, and the undisputed record holders for the most titles, all eyes naturally lock onto the Selecao whenever the world's biggest football festival kicks off. This time around, however, things are different. Brazil enters the tournament not as the outright favorites, but as underdogs. This shift stems from a noticeable lack of elite, world-class depth in certain positions, compounded by a rather sluggish qualification campaign. But anyone foolish enough to write off a squad led by Carlo Ancelotti is making a monumental mistake. The Italian tactician is a master of knockout tournament football, renowned globally as one of the absolute best at tactical adjustments on the fly. With Carletto at the helm, managing a squad hungry to prove themselves against all odds, Brazil might just pull off the ultimate shock this summer, reminiscent of their legendary run 24 years ago. It has been 24 years since Brazil last lifted the World Cup trophy in Japan and South Korea. Back then, the Samba boys were similarly written off. Following their heartbreaking defeat in the 1998 final, the Selecao hit a massive slump, even changing managers after a disastrous Confederations Cup campaign. To make matters worse, their star striker, Ronaldo, was returning from a career-threatening injury. No one expected the South American giants to conquer the world in the tournament's historic Asian debut. Yet, under the rigid guidance of Luis Felipe Scolari, and fueled by the genius of the phenomenon, Ronaldo, Brazil tore through the tournament, capping it off with a clinical 20 victory over Germany to claim the throne. Ever since that historic triumph, Brazil had routinely entered every World Cup as the team to beat. But for this upcoming tournament, the Selecao find themselves sitting behind a host of European powerhouses, and even their archrivals Argentina. The reason is simple. The squad no longer boasts generational talents across every single position. The traditional Joga Bonito flair has gradually been replaced by rigid, European-style physical engines, leaving the team lacking clear direction and identity. This identity crisis forced the higher-ups at the CBF to make a move for Carlo Ancelotti. The veteran manager is a serial winner who possesses an incredible track record when it comes to getting the absolute best out of Brazilian talent. Think Kaká, Cafu, and more recently, Vinicius Júnior and Rodrigo. With fewer individual mavericks capable of winning games single-handedly, Brazil will lean heavily on Carletto's tactical genius. For the first time in modern football history, the five-time world champions are placing their faith in a foreign manager. Ancelotti is a world-class man manager, legendary for navigating high-pressure dressing rooms filled with massive egos. Crucially, the 66-year-old manager doesn't force players into rigid systems. Instead, he molds his tactics fluidly around the strengths of the personnel at his disposal. For years, the Selecao faced heavy criticism for being overly reliant on individual inspiration, first with Neymar and later with Vinicius Jr. Under Ancelotti, that overdependence is being phased out in favor of structural balance and tactical flexibility. Whether it's his iconic Christmas tree formation from his AC Milan days, or his adaptable 433, 442, and 424 setups at Real Madrid, Ancelotti makes his teams incredibly unpredictable. They prioritize the ultimate result over flashy, empty performances. Heading into North America, the Italian tactician has assembled a 26-man squad that feels both fresh and familiar. The front line is arguably the biggest source of optimism for fans, offering a potent mix of South American flair and European tactical discipline. Vinicius Jr., Rafinha and Matheus Cunha remain vital cogs for their respective clubs. Meanwhile, the addition of Igor Thiago provides a physical, traditional number 9 presence that adds a whole new dimension to Brazil's attack. Carletto's blueprint relies on a versatile forward line, capable of fluidly swapping roles and executing an aggressive press right from the front. We can already see glimpses of this blueprint in action. Endrick is primed to explode off the bench as a game changer, while Gabriel Martinelli offers a relentless non-stop engine on the flank. While their clinical edge in front of goal still needs sharpening, especially after recent friendlies against Panama and Egypt, this Brazilian side possesses immense untapped potential. And when discussing the attack, it's impossible to ignore Neymar. Even though he's currently racing against time to be fit for the group stages, the presence of the ultimate Samba superstar carries immense psychological weight. A master man-manager like Ancelotti knows exactly what the 1992-born forward brings to the table, and keeping him in the squad has earned him massive goodwill from the fans. It's a calculated move to deflect pressure away from the rest of the squad and the former AC Milan boss himself. It's all about dressing room chemistry. While the Selecao have no shortage of natural leaders like Marquinhos or Casemiro, Neymar acts as the ultimate catalyst, inspiring those around him. Many in this young squad grew up idolizing the 3-4-year-old forward. Helping him fulfill his unfinished World Cup dream serves as a massive emotional fuel for the team. Ancelotti knows exactly how to manage Neymar's minutes effectively. He doesn't need to start every game. Utilized as a tactical weapon at the right moment, he makes Brazil infinitely more dangerous. The number 10 understands his current role perfectly. Unlike Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi's recent international situations, the Santos star is fully willing to buy into the manager's vision, even if it means a super sub role on the bench. Moving into midfield, the South American giants admittedly lack a traditional, out-and-out playmaker to dictate the tempo. Ancelotti has famously engineered his greatest successes around maestros like Andrea Pirlo, Toni Kroos, or Luka Modric. With Brazil, however, he's putting his faith in two midfield engines, Casemiro and Bruno Guimaraes. While his former Real Madrid disciple knows his role inside out, Newcastle's midfield star is poised to be Brazil's breakout player of the tournament. Traditionally viewed as a destructive ball-winning defensive midfielder, Bruno has evolved into a highly dynamic box-to-box threat at the international level perfectly, illustrated by his brilliant ball recovery and finish against Egypt. Alongside him, Danilo Santos and Fabinho proved their tactical worth against Panama, while Lucas Paqueta remains a potent creative spark when deployed higher up the pitch. To casual observers, this midfield might look lacking in elite creativity, but it has actually provided the most stability throughout the warm-up matches, with both starters and squad players stepping up effectively. This gives Carletto the tactical platform to execute his game plans seamlessly, leaving opponents completely guessing as to which face the five-time champions will show on match day. Finally, we look at the defense, which is arguably Brazil's biggest red flag heading into the tournament. Marquinhos endured a nightmare performance against Egypt, a shocking dip in form for a reigning Champions League winner. To make matters worse, fullback Wesley has been ruled out of the tournament entirely due to injury. While Ancelotti called up Ederson as cover, the Manchester City shotstopper is obviously not a natural right-back. Looking at the current defensive options, Danilo, Douglas, Santos, and Alex Sandro are all entering the twilight of their careers, and none have ever truly filled the massive shoes left behind by legends like Dani Alves, Macon, or Marcelo. This fullback dilemma is Ancelotti's biggest tactical headache. If the fullbacks fail to provide width and overlapping threats, the creative burden shifts entirely onto the shoulders of Vinicius Jr. and Rafinha. In the heart of defense, Marquinhos must urgently shake off his recent blunders and steady the ship alongside Gabriel Magalhães to shield Alisson Becker's goal. Fortunately, Roger Ibanez, currently playing for Ulali, has put in solid shifts and is pushing hard for a starting spot. This aging, unconvincing defensive unit is a puzzle the Italian tactician must solve if Brazil wants to go all the way. Furthermore, he needs to get both Alisson Becker and Ederson back to their absolute sharpest, as both keepers have looked uncharacteristically sluggish in recent outings. A rock-solid defense is the foundation of any championship run, and Ancelotti's primary mission is fixing the lack of depth on the flanks. Fans dread to imagine how these fullbacks will cope against elite, flying wingers from the likes of France or Spain in the later stages. The most successful nation in World Cup history may no longer boast a squad entirely made up of Galacticos or once-in-a generation geniuses like the Phenomenon. Yet, it is precisely when they are written off that Brazil's championship DNA shines brightest, just as it did 24 years ago. The ultimate key lies with Carlo Ancelotti, His unparalleled experience will be the catalyst for what promises to be a fascinating campaign. Without a singular superstar to carry the load, anyone in this squad can step up within a highly cohesive, collective system. Furthermore, the massive egos and raw South American passion have been successfully channeled into a unified force. What we are seeing is a fascinating hybrid, a side possessing European tactical discipline, yet infused with the unpredictable, magical DNA of Latin American football. 24 years might not seem like an eternity, but for a footballing superpower, accustomed to sitting on top of the world, it is far too long. It is time for them to reclaim their throne. Despite the doubts, and despite the rise of the European heavyweights, the objective remains clear. The Selecao are ready to use European tactical blueprints to conquer Europe itself under the guidance of their Italian boss. Carlo Ancelotti has kept his cards close to his chest throughout the friendlies, leaving Brazil's true identity a mystery. He may still be fine-tuning his options, or perhaps he is hiding a tactical masterstroke, waiting for the tournament to kick off in North America. Whatever you do, do not write off the Samba boys just yet, because history shows that when they are backed into a corner, their championship DNA takes over. And that wraps up our analysis for today's video. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest football content from Point Break Sports Stories. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop your tournament predictions in the comments below, and let's keep the debate clean and respectful. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Point Break, and this is Sports Stories. Wishing you all great health, joy, and a shared passion for the beautiful game.